Hello there, everyone. This is One Page Fools back for a One Page Fools Raw. This is a little experiment I'm trying where I'm recording a little bit off the cuff. So we'll see how things work out. So the topic for today's episode is why orcs are the greatest race in wargaming. So hear me out for a second, because I know there's going to be you guys with your zombies and your rat men and your elves. No. It's all about the orcs, and I'll tell you why. One, they fit in any genre. I mean, sure, they start off in fantasy, but they fit anywhere in fantasy, frankly. You know, it's always about some giant, ugly, brutish barbarian style monster wielding a huge cleaver in some kind, or even a sneaky stabber to get you in the gut. They're always nasty little guys. Well, I say little, they're usually, on average, man size, if not a little bit bigger. But not only do they fit in fantasy, they can fit into space quite easily because at the end of the day, they fit a nice brutish alien archetype quite well. I mean, what is a Klingon other than like an orc with some pretensions? And I mean, obviously we have GW making great hay with them as Mad Max warriors, but then you've got Mantic with their kind of corporate uplifted cavemen kind of thing, which I think is pretty cool. One page rules themselves tends to go for kind of a mishmash of a bit of everything. You know, they're aliens in space. They like to steal. They like to pirate. They like to loot. It's a good option to give you a lot of freedom in what you're doing. But then that is the point of them being able to fit in any genre. They are completely free to do it. Well, hell, they can fit into historical stuff quite well because it's myth and legend, but it slides in quite nicely. You can get yourself some weird war stuff going on. Who doesn't like Nazis getting their heads cleaved in by orcs? Secondly, they reflect man's own past back onto them. Because one of the things about orcs, in my opinion at least, is, and this is why I think they resonate really well, you always see orcs everywhere, is they kind of remind mankind of the brutish past. Like, they don't fit into any particular kind of ideology, or not ideology, sorry, kind of aesthetic as that. They're not like explicitly Asian themed or Western themed or anything like that. I mean, they can be, but generally they tend to be a kind of caveman-esque, brutal barbarism to them. You'll always have a might makes right kind of philosophy and an excessive use of overly large weapons with some tribal leanings. War chiefs, shamans, that kind of bag. And whilst obviously there's nothing wrong with that kind of lifestyle or society, to be more exact, it's more the fact that it's always portrayed in a very chaotic, evil fashion, with a focus on destroying society and might makes right, attacking, usually the defense of the cities and things. And I think that really strongly hits with mankind as a foe that we must conquer. Kind of a Conan-esque kind of thing. Man's own barbarism is always there. The barbarian fighting against society, um, albeit in a less of a heroic fashion. Conan is more likely to take a swing at an orc rather than side of them. Though he'd probably be a little bit sympathetic to their brutal origins. But as soon as they start burning down his paymaster's house, he's probably going to get a bit cheesed off. Next, they don't really have a locked-in appearance as such. I mean, yeah, I know. Everyone thinks they're big green kind of mini Hulks, thanks to Games Workshop doing a sterling job of marketing. But when we go back to Tolkien, they fit so many different varieties and visuals. It's always just kind of a messed up, crook-legged kind of being, rusty armor, long scimitars, just very nasty, ugly people. And then we have, I mean, and they're also tortured elves, which in itself adds like an extra layer of tragedy to them. Then we've got the kind of D&D esque orcs, so they're like very bestial pig-like faces, very unusual. You don't really see them a lot in like mainstream wargaming, which I find quite interesting. It's kind of a rarity. They're more of like a role playing kind of thing. But they you can kind of plonk them anywhere. They don't have to be green. They can be brown. They can be grey. They can be yellow color wise. The only thing that really sets is locked into them is they're humanoid and their dental work is usually pretty bad. But I wouldn't mind seeing giant orcs of multiple limbs. In fact, you could even perchance take a stab at Edgar Rice Burroughs' Barsoomian Green Martians, being like a proto orc of a kind. They're very tribalistic, very anti-civilization, not very empathic. Emotion is weakness. It's you could look at it as a proto orc in a way, I suppose. Be kind of neat. Um, and finally, compared to a lot of other like popular fantasy races, like goblins or the undead, for example, orcs have a lot of agency and strength to them because goblins, they're always a fan favorite, but they're always about strength in numbers. They're sneaky, they're cunning, but they don't really pose a big enough threat. It's, you know, if a big horde of goblins attacks a human city, it's usually more likely to get a bit of a laugh before people start dying, of course. But you know, it's a rare thing for a big goblin horde to cause a problem. Similarly with the undead, they've got the agency issue there, where other than one or two people pulling the strings vis-a-vis necromancy, there's a, you know, you're just fighting a bunch of automatons, which works quite well in fantasy. But when you get to sci-fi, that's is its own problem. You know, then you've got kind of hive mind Borg shenanigans going on. But with orcs, it's always a nice, simple fight. It's man versus this kind of bestial, primitive invader attacking, wanting to loot his house, kill his women, burn everything around him, and leave nothing but a pile of ashes and a successful reminder that, you know, they're the strongest things around. And for that, I feel they are the greatest race in wargaming because they are the perennial opponent that you can always find everywhere. This has been a One Page Fool's Raw, a mini episode. I hope you guys enjoy. Have a good day. Bye bye.